you. We have three continuations tonight. First being Powell, 17 Oregon Road. Second being Equitable Development, 91 Old Colony Lane. And the third being Zorge Holdings, LLC, 0 Texas Street. Those three hearings are continued. We won't be hearing those tonight. This is a Zoom meeting, hybrid. People may participate remotely, but if the remote connection fails, the meeting will continue. We have a quorum present of the Concom Commission, so we'll proceed. First hearing is 1192 South River Street. In compliance with regulations, Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, and the Code of the Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection, public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Concom Wednesday, June 4th, to consider requests for determination of applicability filed by Victor Babardi, 1192 South River Street, Marshfield, Mass., to determine whether the area depicted on the plan or maps referenced below is an area subject to jurisdiction of the Wetlands Protection Act, or whether the activities, a new shed on sonotubes depicted, is subject to the Wetlands Protection Act and its regulations, and whether the area, the activities depicted on the plan is subject to the jurisdiction of any municipal wetlands ordinance or bylaws in the town of Marshfield, at 1192 South River Street, Marshfield. And the hearing officer is Liz.
All right, so it looks like this is an NOI, taxes have been paid, so the administrative requirements have been satisfied. Is there anyone here to present on the Oh, okay, if you want to come up here and take a seat.
Sit right here?
Yep, and just state your name, and you can kind of give us an overview of your project.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm Victor Babardi. I live at 1192 South River Street, in Marshfield, and I would like to propose if I could build a shed in the backyard.
And what are the dimensions of the shed?
I was going to do like 12 by 16 or 12 by 14 or something like that. Whatever.
Okay, and on sonotubes?
Sonotubes, I could put it on blocks even, whatever you guys wanted.
Okay.
Either one.
Based on the plan that you submitted, it looks like it's going to be completely outside any of the areas that fall under our jurisdiction. And it looks like there are a number of conservation markers on your property.
Yes.
They're still there?
Yeah, everything's
Okay.
still there, yep.
And Mr. Seeley had some comments. He's not here tonight, but I'll run through some of his comments. Basically, he said the homeowner would like to construct a shed on the property. The shed would be located in the backyard within the pre-disturbed lawn area. There are a number of conservation markers on site, and the proposed shed would be outside of the protected area. There's currently no sheds on the property, and it would reduce materials they are storing on the edge of the lawn, and he had no issues with issuing you a permit for this project. Do any of the commissioners have any questions or comments for this?
Have you got a building permit yet?
No, I talked to Dave, he said this, he mentioned just make sure you stay 10 feet away from the property line and the conservation line, he said.
Yeah, so you're just subject to building also.
Right.
Is there anyone in the public or on Zoom who have any questions or comments about this project? All right. Did we receive any building commissioner comments?
No.
No, okay.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. All right, well, hearing no comments, I'm going to move to close the hearing. It looks like Mr. Seeley did suggest some conditions, and I'll kind of read off kind of the conditions that we usually go over at these hearings on his behalf. Just to ensure best management practices are followed before commencing the work, obtain all pertinent permits, see the conservation administrator and conservation agent for guidance on conservation permits for work beyond the approved work activities and location of the conservation markers. So I'm going to make a motion to close the hearing and issue a determination of applicability with a +5 and a -2. May I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so you'll be getting, you should be getting a letter from us, and if you have any questions, you can reach out to Mr. Seeley.
Okay,
Okay?
all right.
All right, thank you.
Well, thank you very much, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next up is 915 Ocean Street. In compliance with the regulations of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, Code of Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection. Public hearing will be held by Marshfield Concom on Wednesday, June 4th, to consider the after-the-fact request for a determination of applicability filed by Bob Patel, 915 Ocean Street, Marshfield, Mass., to determine whether the area on plans or maps referenced below is an area subject to the jurisdiction of the Wetlands Protection Act, and whether the activities, paved parking lot depicted on the plan is subject to the Wetlands Protection Act and its regulation, and whether the area or activities depicted in the plan is subject to the jurisdiction of any municipal wetlands ordinances or bylaws of the town of Marshfield at 915 Ocean Street, Marshfield. And the hearing officer is Corey.
Okay. Is anybody here from 915 Ocean Street? Nobody on Zoom? So, since nobody's here, should we just continue the hearing?
Yeah, particularly, I mean, if this was the type of thing that Mike might present, I've got no information on it. I know where it is, but that's about the
Yeah.
extent of it.
There's quite
Since
a,
it's after the fact, I think probably continue would be best.
yeah, there's quite a history of violations and back and forth between previous property owners and enforcement orders, so I think we'll just continue this hearing until the 18th?
Yep.
Okay. I move to continue this hearing for 915 Ocean Street to June 18th. Can I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you. Next one up is 254 Foster Avenue, Marshfield. In compliance with the regulation of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, and the Code of Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection. Public hearing is to be held by the Marshfield Concom on Wednesday, June 4th, to consider a request for determination of applicability filed by Monique Hubbard, 254 Foster Avenue, Marshfield, to determine whether the area depicted on plans or maps referenced below is an area subject to jurisdiction of the Wetlands Protection Act, whether the activities, replace cinder block wall and repair asphalt depicted on the plan is subject to the Wetlands Protection Act and its regulations, and whether the area or activities depicted on the plan is subject to the jurisdiction of any municipal wetlands ordinances or bylaws of the town of Marshfield at 254 Foster Ave, Marshfield. And the hearing officer is Jesse.
Thank you. All right, for RDA 2518, the administrative requirements have been met. This work is located within Barrier Beach, coastal dune, land subject to coastal storm flowage, and is in Zone VE 19. Is there anyone in the audience or on Zoom to present this project?
Yes.
Hi, can you state your name and where you're from? You're with
Yes.
the landscaping company?
Yep. Brian Smith, owner of Lawn Smith, here in Marshfield. My client's property, their driveway is about 1 to 2 feet higher than the neighbor's driveway. There's an existing wall that has partially fallen over, so we are looking to replace that existing wall.
Okay. I just had a question. Is the existing wall, the entire length of the driveway, is that being replaced or just the portion that's crumbling?
The entire length of the driveway wall.
Okay, so instead of the cinder blocks, it's gonna be poured concrete, or are you just replacing the same?
We haven't determined exactly what it is, but it's either cinder block or concrete wall or a concrete block wall. I don't know if there's any difference between those from your end.
And then I just had one more question on my end. Will the entire driveway be repaved, or just the portions that were damaged?
Just the 2 to 3 feet behind the wall, just so we can get proper backfill material. So just probably 3 feet right behind the wall.
Okay. Do any of the commissioners have any comments on this work?
Do you have a floodplain permit?
We do not.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this would tend to need one.
Definitely.
Yes, definitely.
We can proceed, but you're gonna need to do that with the building department?
Okay. I've never done, so I just go down to the building department and they'll issue me a floodplain
Yeah,
permit.
you can actually do it online.
Okay.
All right, but we can proceed.
I think so. I
Yeah.
mean, it's pretty straightforward.
It really is, yeah. Okay. All right. There's no other comments from commissioners. Is there anyone in the audience or on Zoom that has any comments or questions on this? Okay. All right. I'm going to read off on Mr. Seeley's behalf some comments here. To ensure best management practices are followed. Before commencing the work, obtain all pertinent permits. See Conservation Administrator, Conservation Agent for guidance on conservation permits for work beyond the approved work activities and location of the conservation markers. And I'm going to move then to close the hearing and issue the determination of applicability with a +5 and a -2. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. You're all set. You can, like we said, go online. You can do the floodplain permit online, and then get with Mr. Seeley to pick up the permit.
Great, thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, next hearing is 202 Bay Avenue. In compliance with the regulations of Marshfield General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, and the Code of Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection. Public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Conservation Commission on Wednesday, June 4th, in the Select Board Hearing Room to consider a notice of intent filed by Christopher Tedeschi, 18 Jarvis Avenue, Hingham, Mass., for the construction of a new front porch and front addition on helical piles at an existing single-family home within the riverfront area, Barrier Beach, coastal dune, and land subject to coastal storm flowage at 202 Bay Avenue, Marshfield. And Corey is the hearing officer.
Okay. All right. This is an addition in land subject to coastal storm flowage, Barrier Beach coastal dune. And you here to represent them?
Yes, good evening. Rick Savant with Stenbeck and Taylor. As you stated, the homeowners are here on Bay Ave are proposing a small addition on the front of the home, just to expand kind of an office space and little space in front of the home. It's currently, a good portion of this work is over an existing deck that's there, but the new work will be constructed on helical piles. It's going to match the floor grade, but there will be open area underneath, but there's only approximately about 2 feet clear underneath this addition when they're done. This is also, Corey, this is also in the riverfront. I know you're,
Oh, okay.
so yeah, for the Cut River across the street, it's shown on the plan. I just wanted to mention that, but it's an ancient house. Very small lot. It's really, house takes up majority of the property, but, so that's what they're proposing. We do have a floodplain permit in process. This project will have to go before the zoning board also. I don't know if Andrew's commented on anything, but that's really the essential nuts and bolts of the project. Addition on the front, on helical piles, is what they're hoping to do on this project.
Okay. We have not received comments from the building commissioner yet. So I just wanted to ask, is the entire house at like the right elevation, or would this be carrying the same elevation?
Well, the finished floor is above, they're in an AE11 flood zone. The finished floor of the house is at 15.1, so that portion is compliant. Certainly Andrew would have to make a determination if the whole house is compliant. I don't believe it's just a crawl space underneath there. In my history with projects like this, is the finished floor is generally the driver, but he'd certainly be the one to comment about.
Is it VE?
It's in an AE11.
AE.
AE,
Okay.
yep, moving water zone. But, yeah, the existing house isn't constructed as, it's not on piles, it's just on a standard foundation. I think the house was built in the 40s, I believe, or part of it.
Well, if he determines that it's not a substantial improvement.
Right.
It doesn't
Right,
need to trigger that
that's correct.
entire process. So, we'll proceed as if it's not a substantial improvement, because I think Mike mentioned that in his comments. Yeah, would not trigger a substantial improvement. So, would there be any enclosure beneath the,
It's proposed to be open, maybe some, the lattice work that the commission allows, this proper spacing of the boards. I haven't seen any proposed skirting underneath proposed, but the plans that I saw on the architectural just showed it as open.
okay. Yeah, since it's Barrier Beach coastal dune, would want that to remain open underneath to allow for migration of sediment.
Sure.
So, those are the only questions I had. Any other commissioners have any comments or questions? No?
Did you say you had a floodplain permit, Rick?
Yes,
Okay.
Yep.
Did you have any discussion with,
I have not had any
Okay.
discussion. Andrew, I believe he started the process, the homeowner, on their own, and then Andrew was the one who pointed them and said, hey, you need to go to the Conservation Commission, and I believe the homeowner had done the floodplain permit already with Andrew, I believe.
Okay. Any other comments, questions from the public? Anybody on Zoom? Okay, I don't see any other comments. All right, I'm gonna move to close the hearing and issue an order of conditions with the following special conditions: general conditions 1 through 18, prior to construction, conditions 5 and 2, during construction, condition 11, after construction, condition 1, erosion control, condition 1, and that the addition not be enclosed underneath and remains open. May I have a second?
Yeah, before we do that, I welcome the chair to the meeting,
Oh,
Thank you. I apologize for my lateness.
and we have the presentation up. Would you like to go to
Where are we?
Bay Ave?
Keep going, I'll let you know where it is.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet.
I have seen it. I think it's
You
at
went
the
by it.
very end.
Go back a little bit, one more.
The photo of the house.
That's it right there.
Okay.
Yep.
And the picture was just before that.
Yeah.
Oh, photograph, sorry.
Yeah, okay, there's the,
Yeah, there's, that existing overhang there is already there. They're extending that, and then, you know, the porch that's to the left in that photo there is where they're extending that porch also, up on helical piles.
do you have any other comments?
No?
No? All right, well then I will ask for a second.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's all the new one.
So we're all the way up?
Yeah.
Wow, you guys are moving fast.
Well,
Yeah.
one was a no-show, so we continued.
Okay, which one was that?
The paving,
Paving, okay. Okay.
so picking up on the jetty.
So, next up is the jetty. This is an open hearing. So, the hearing officer is Commissioner Platt.
Thank you. All right. Is there somebody here to present for the jetty? You. State your name.
Richard Vaughn, 278 Ocean Street, Brent Rock. I did bring boards, but I guess you guys have them all, everything I have with me on the
If there
big
isn't,
screen.
you can use
So,
that.
one of the conditions of our patio at the jetty was to provide bollards for the safety of the customers and from automobiles on Ocean Street. For the short term, the select board last year allowed us to use DPW-approved water-filled Jersey barriers. We had, we obviously want to beautify the area, beautify our patio a little bit, and we had a landscape designer do a nice job with a combination of nautical items, a raised island with some nautical heavy-duty items on it, some 1,200-pound planters, a 900-pound anchor, 2,000-pound buoy, and some other things that I think would be more in keeping with the neighborhood than these graffiti-covered, water-filled barriers that we have today. So we're before you today just to see if we can, excavate some of the broken asphalt, put down some crush and run, and do a series of landscape-type design items that would be more in keeping with Brant Rock.
Okay.
If you want me to walk you through that plan, I can kind of walk you through, or if you guys understand it, that's fine too.
Yeah, I have just a couple of questions on the plan. So the walkway, so when you're looking at the jetty, you're only putting in the, filling in the granite slabs on just that walkway? You're not redoing the rest of the?
No, that would be crush and run.
Okay, so just the reclaimed asphalt or whatever in between those slabs? on that
Exactly.
200 or so feet, okay. All right. And what else here? All right, so the planters that where's that list? It's 36-inch diameter planters. You said they were 1,200 pounds?
Yes.
Okay. I
And
know,
that's without the trees in them. So we put trees in them in the summer, they go up to about 1,800 pounds. But during the winter, when we take the trees out, they're 1,200 pounds.
I don't think the palm trees would last in the winter.
They've barely lasted through the weekend. They've all been tipped over all weekend long.
Yeah. Okay, so clear this up. Did you guys meet with the ZBA already?
We've had a series of meetings with everybody. We met with the ZBA last week, and it was continued.
Okay.
But when I spoke to, did I speak to you? I spoke to somebody about, we were on the agenda for this, at least checking this box so that when we do move forward, we don't have to wait a couple of weeks for conservation again.
Okay.
So we're in for a building permit, we're in with the ZBA, and we're in with you guys.
All right. Okay, there's a comment here that we're just questioning whether this is up to code, and so when that goes through, that needs to be evaluated first before we can move forward with the permit,
What's up to code?
the seating area, I assume.
I mean, we've got a license for the seating area from the town of Marshfield.
The comment, yeah, that's what the comment says here. So I'm not really sure whether that's, where that's coming from, but we didn't get building, any additional building.
Any additional from building?
No, we have not. Just this additional comment on the comment page. I mean, other than I think the bollards and the cleats are gonna be permanently fixed to the ground, right?
Correct,
Those are gonna be, but the planters are not,
correct.
right? So there was some concern with that, with those being able to move around. It is a flood area, so that could cause havoc, obviously, if those were to, and also channeling of water. They are heavy enough, the bollards and the cleats. So there was a couple things.
I mean, the planters have been there for years, and we moved them around, with a fork truck. We moved them about 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
So they're definitely movable, but I would imagine that, other things in the area would move well before the planters.
Yeah,
I don't know, I guess I don't understand the question. I mean, the tables would move.
of course.
Everything in
I think-
my neighbor's boats, I'm sure, would move before those planters.
Right, I don't
The
know.
boats up on trailers would come flying through the fence well before the planters budged.
Understood, right.
So I don't understand the question.
Oh, I think it was a concern that was brought up, that was discussed in the comments here, so.
Oh,
I mean, is there any other comments from you guys?
Well, I thought the area of concern was the granite slabs, but it looks like that's just a small area.
It's a small area. I wasn't sure if the whole entire
Yeah,
seating
I
area
wasn't
was-
either. The drawing
Right.
clarifies it. The only other thing I saw was concern for the building commissioner that the buoy, could float away in a storm.
that weighs 2,000 pounds.
Yeah, but it floats. I was going to suggest if he continues to have concerns about that, there must be a way to, cut the bottom out of it or something and make it.
Yeah, I'm sure we could. Again, I could drill holes in it, I could fill it with
I mean,
sand.
I'm sure you've seen the pictures of, and you've been there for having 4 feet of water in the Esplanade, so.
Again, I think you'd have to have 200 feet of water to float that buoy again.
I've seen them on the beach in the North River when they break loose. But I think if he has a concern about that.
Yeah, we can
I think-
modify it
I think
somehow.
there should be a way around it.
I mean, I think he also voiced a concern about the kegs full of sand. Again, everything can move in a nor'easter if it's powerful enough. I don't, the tables could move, the flagpole could move. I don't know which things where we have to worry about moving, which things we don't have to worry about moving. The Jersey barriers would move well before the
Well,
buoy.
that's,
I guess I don't, everything moves. I don't understand where we draw the line.
Well, I think we're talking about the stuff the new stuff that's going in. The planters are new, the ones that you're adding planters, correct?
We have 2 on site, we're adding 1 more.
Okay.
I think one of the concerns there is, in addition to the possibility of these things moving in great force of water, is channelization. And also, you're talking about, what are you calling it, cut and run? The
Crush and run.
Crush and run. That's going to be impervious, isn't it?
Water would pass through it versus the asphalt that's there now.
It's basically just gravel, right?
Okay.
So
Okay, I was wondering if it was more like, recycled asphalt,
it's a combination of
which
recycled asphalt
becomes
and
impervious when
Over
it is.
time.
over time.
Yeah,
It's replacing actual asphalt.
right, but we just want to make sure that the replacement is pervious and will remain so.
My understanding is that it is impervious or pervious, that water will pass through it. We're going to go with that.
Actually, Jesse or Corey, do you know for sure?
I do not.
I know that from what I've read, that over time, it compacts together and becomes impervious.
Impervious.
Correct. So it's not the best thing that you could use in this situation.
So when we were originally looking at crushed shells,
Yep.
and because of the ADA compliance law, we could not use crushed shells, so it was recommended that we went with a compactable material that wheelchairs could go over.
Yeah,
I want to
because
do
you want
crushed shells, I think it'd be really pretty, but
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a material that water can completely go through. I also think that some of the crush and run that becomes impervious is probably from automobile traffic, not foot traffic.
Possibly, I don't know. the answer
I
to that.
suspect you're right, and I think also it's, because of the nature of where it is, it's gonna be reworked frequently anyway.
We do it every year.
Can we talk about the raised garden bed island
Sure.
feature? Can you just explain what that,
So it'd be, do you have a picture of the patio in one of these screens, I think?
I only have the plan and,
Yeah, that's the only two.
and the buoy are the only
That-
ones that were set up for this tonight. Well, you can see a little bit of,
So it'd be very similar to the patio area, where we took slabs of granite, and we just put them in about 12 inches into the ground, and then filled it with loam.
Right here?
That's the cobblestone, I'm talking a little bit further in this area. We use these slabs on the verticals.
So how tall
About 6 inches. It's one step. It'd be the same height as the 7-inch cobblestones that you see in the picture, too.
The raised island is what you're talking about, Corey?
yeah.
Yeah, I
Where
think
where would that be located?
8 inches high.
But where on the patio?
It's that, if you see the third palm, or the first palm tree,
The yellow area.
the yellow area. In between the third palm tree and the buoy.
What is the purpose of it?
Landscape design.
Just seeing that it's a flood area, we don't want to channelize any flow that could come across there. So I would be in favor of not having it, just having it flush, so it's the same elevation.
At that point, we'd probably eliminate some of the landscaping things. I don't know if I can't picture a plant bed that's flush with the asphalt on both sides. I think it would just get washed away.
You can have mulch and plantings there,
Right, but
on the raised bed. And when you're dealing with land subject to coastal storm flowage, any object that can get in the way of the flow of water causes it to redirect, the water to redirect the flow location and change the current of it, and will channelize any other flows and cause erosion and other negative things. So it would be best to just leave it the same elevation.
Okay. Then, at that point, we'd probably just go to, some bollard system and not have all the plantings. Because I just think that the mulch would constantly just wash away every rainstorm.
Because you have the cleats are still out there with the rope, right?
Yeah, no rope, just cleats.
Oh, just the cleats, okay. The roping might look nice instead of the,
Again, I'm just presenting what, our high-priced landscape designer came up with.
Is there anyone in the public or on Zoom that has any comments on this? All right, so can we move forward, though, with,
I think we can. I
Okay.
think, what is the issue with the ZBA at this stage?
Do you have all night? It goes back to several years with a neighbor issue.
The reason I'm asking, I don't know what the issue is, and I don't know what they may come up with, but could this then require a notice of intent
right?
rather than an RDA? If they're going to do something that
I believe the
is
landscape
impactful.
project stands alone. We probably wouldn't move forward with it if there's significant changes to the use of the patio. But we're not anticipating that.
What would change with the patio? If they wouldn't be able to use it? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know, because I don't know what the issue is, but I know that the outdoor seating was the result of the select board allowing you to do so during the outdoor seating of
COVID.
COVID. And, is there any possibility they're going to revisit that and make changes? I don't know.
Nor do I.
Everything is subject
That's
to
subject
approval
to-
by other.
By other, okay, yeah, you're right. Yeah, no, I think we can move ahead.
Okay.
We,
All right, so it doesn't look like, so the asphalt, that's pretty much the best option there.
I don't know of any others. I'd be happy to hear you out if you had some.
Besides-
no, I think the
Yeah,
ADA,
Yeah,
you have to be able to, yeah.
so the front, the raised bed, as it pertains to channel it, having the water channel around that, if you're willing to not do the raised landscaping, the planting bed there, would that be something that you would be open to?
I'd be open to it. I think it'll take away from the overall design of both our patio area and the Brent Rock Village in general. I think it's a really nice feature. It's the same height as the patio right next to it. There's a curb on the other side of it. I don't see it changing the flow of water dramatically.
Is
If the water comes through the parking lot, it's coming through the parking lot.
on the restaurant side of that walkway, there's a curb on that side?
Yes.
Is that, similar height? And then on where the planters are, the palm trees?
Yep.
So that's the handicap parking on the other side there, but
Correct.
that's all open?
That's all open.
Okay. Where's the? Oh, that's a bar top, not another, I thought that was a curb. Okay.
No, it's just a few tables that were on the original plan. Would it help if we did it out of cobblestone instead of granite slabs?
Not if you still had a lip.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be effectively the same thing. Would you consider a raised planter?
That would allow water to pass underneath it. That might look pretty cool. You could have some herbs that you could farm to table.
I think that it would probably move, and would be having the same conversation about something that can move. I also think that the use of wood in Brant Rock is just a bad design. We're constantly replacing storefront and trim, and just, Brant Rock's difficult. Metal and wood are not good features there.
I mean, I want this to look nice as well for you, you know? I just want to make sure we're doing this the right way.
What were Andrew's original comments? Do you,
Yeah, I have those. Where are they? I did have those.
I think, are they in the MCCs with,
I didn't get Andrew's comments.
okay, I thought he had commented on this
Yeah, at one.
when we first
Oh,
got
he did,
this.
and I know it's here somewhere.
Just, if we go back to that for once, I mean, I see this island as being lower and very similar to all of the islands that were just built on the Esplanade as far as the Bullnose project goes. It's no different than anything I see all over Brant Rock.
Yeah, well, if we don't have them here, that's okay. I was trying to remember.
I think Andrew had some concerns about the handicap parking and the crush and run. I had
Things
a
that could move around.
ADA specialist writing that up right now. He came and
Yeah,
visited the space the other day.
Right, yeah, no, he is mostly concerned with
The
the
decorations and
buoys
stuff, yeah.
and the kegs
But
that
he-
could float.
Right.
Kegs have lasted 12 years through some of the worst storms we've ever had. They were there from the day we opened.
Yeah, but he says the reclaimed asphalt, this surfacing is not the best choice in a barrier beach coastal dune environment, as it can pack down, creating an impervious surface. This can lead to channelization of water and potentially cause undermining of surrounding structures during a storm event. So you have that, and then you also have the planting, the raised bed right there.
But again, we're removing asphalt, so we got to be making it somewhat better. And the planter itself would be completely pervious.
The crusher run is different from reclaimed asphalt, right? Crusher run is,
It's in the
I
same
don't know
family.
what pressure run is.
I think it's just natural sand and gravel. I'm not positive.
It's like stone dust.
Stone dust and gravel.
Yeah.
That you use to compact the ground to get a level surface
Underneath the patio,
underneath
right?
the patio.
Okay.
I don't know, I would prefer this to be a notice of intent so we could see these things like on the site plan. And know what the materials are. Or at least have more information from the landscape architect.
I don't know if it.
So you're removing asphalt. Is that where the granite slabs are going?
Yes. And where the planter's going.
Okay, that's all.
That's all asphalt right now.
So that raised bed is pretty much replacing exactly what's there already right now, which is, are the Jersey barriers in that? I'm trying to picture it, it's just there, but
Repeat?
the Jersey barriers, are they where the the.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We've got, one of the things the ZBA wanted was a measured plan from from Merrill Engineers. So they're within inches of where it's going to be. We're just waiting for the measured plans to come out so we can make sure we're not doing anything on public property.
So you do have engineered plans?
They're being done.
Oh, okay.
It's a site plan.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see.
Yeah, I would like to
This-
see that site plan. Not right now, I mean, in it,
When it's finalized.
when,
I may have submitted it. Was it in the package that we sent you? Because
No.
Site
all we're
plan,
doing, we've had the same site plan for years. He did it in 2023. He's just adding dimensions for Andrew's use.
It's not required for an RDA, so that might be why you didn't submit
Okay.
it, but,
I don't know what it would tell you. It's just shows the parameters of the lot lines, the neighbors' lot lines, the patio. We had to submit it when we did the patio
Oh,
the raised patio last year.
there is, it doesn't have anything about proposed work, it just shows is that it?
Is that Merrill? I can't see from here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. So that's what the landscape architect worked on top of.
I mean,
So Merrill's further revising this to
He's adding some dimensions, and he's adding the furniture.
Pretty small area we're even talking about.
Yeah.
and you guys saw all the pictures, correct? I think probably the right thing to do is you guys want to see a finalized site plan, so.
I think it would be helpful to have that plan with this
Put on top.
superimposed
Yeah.
on it to really,
Which you're doing for the ZBA anyway, right?
Yes.
yeah, I think it would be helpful for us to have that and to know exactly what the composition of the crush and run material is.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
So I would recommend that we continue to our next meeting, and as soon as that plan is ready, so that we have it.
Yep, send it to you in
And we
advance.
be able to, yeah,
Perfect.
Take a look at it, and then the next, on the 18th, is the next
is it on the
meeting.
18th? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so, June 18th,
Perfect.
yeah, all right.
All right.
All right, so, all right, I move to continue the hearing then to the June 18th meeting. May I have a second, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have
Yeah, we didn't actually vote on the continuance.
vote on that continuation, okay. So, RDA 25-17, 915 Ocean Street. We will continue to the next meeting as no one was here to represent them. May I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. SE 423125, which is 17 Oregon Road, has requested continuation to the next meeting. May I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. SE 423131, 91 Old Colony Lane has already been continued to July, but we will vote on that again. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And 0 Texas Street, SE 423141, is continued until after we hold, excuse me, a site visit, which I believe is June 16th. So we will have to continue that to our first meeting in July. May I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
All right.
Aye. Okay, new business, we have an emergency certification for Chandler Pond during the, I might have that in here, during the, here it is. During the rainstorm where we got over 6 inches, the dam boards, one of the dam boards blew out, and it was one that was down low. So it was necessary for the DPW to get in there. This is a dam on private property, so they need emergency certification to perform any work there. And that weekend, we verbally gave them the emergency cert, but we need to vote on that. So that was taken care of by the DPW, so we just have to vote that we approve the emergency certification that was issued to the DPW for the repair of the the stabilization of the outflow on Chandler's Pond Dam. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And now we have an issue. Representative Patrick Carney has proposed the abolition of the North River Commission. So I have prepared a letter. The representative of the North River Commission for Marshfield, who is Marianne Leonard, has alerted the Select Board that this is in the works. So I want to read a letter here that I would like to send to the Select Board to make sure everybody understands the issue. Dear Select Board members, Representative Patrick Carney has introduced legislation to eliminate the North River Commission and transfer its responsibilities to the local conservation commissions. This is House Bill 4110. The North River Commission was established in 1978 when the North River Scenic Protective Order was enacted. The order protects the North River as well as parts of associated tributaries in the towns of Situate, Marshfield, Pembroke, Norwell, Hanover, and Hanson. Its purpose is to protect public and private property, wildlife, fresh and saltwater fisheries, and irreplaceable wild, scenic, and recreational river resources. It is the only river in Massachusetts with this protection. The North River is a shared regional resource, and it is important to ensure that the protective order is consistently implemented across all towns. Conservation commissions could have inconsistent interpretations of the act and have varying resources to put towards implementing it. One town would have to take responsibility for patrols and enforcement, which are currently provided by Pembroke Police and paid for with state funding. In the event of litigation, the burden would fall on town councils instead of the DCR's council. The Scenic Protective Order increases our coastal resilience by providing floodwater storage and storm damage prevention, in addition to protecting wildlife habitat for bald eagles, seals, striped bass, herring, shad, among others, really. It adds to water quality and offers enhanced recreational opportunities. Since 1978, this act has offered unprecedented regional protection for a treasured resource. There is no benefit to changing this. So I am proposing that we send this letter to the Select Board from the Conservation Commission. If anybody has any, well, is there an alarm going off?
I hear something
Somebody's-
too, but I don't know what
Okay.
it is.
Excuse me. In the event that, yes, I would like to amend this to add that in the event of hearings at the State House, that the Select Board will have someone from Conservation go there to represent us. So if we agree, I will fine tune that, and we will send this to our Select Board members who probably are not that familiar with the North River Commission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I read the filing, and it basically gives no details at all. All it
None.
does is request that it be abolished.
Really? I was
Uh,
just gonna ask.
It
what-
just says
Yeah.
abolish and turn over to Conservation Commissions.
Yeah, it's one sentence.
Yes. So,
So just on that basis, I would not support it.
yeah.
Yeah, provides no reason why it would be.
Why
avoided.
it is being done.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't, we don't know the reason. So, I move that, well, I guess we can amend this right now. You know what, I would rather, I'm going to amend this and I will send it all
Okay.
back out to you before I send it to the Select Board.
Yeah, are you all aware of the North River Commission, how it works?
Because of one of the projects I had, yes.
Okay.
Um,
Then you're probably more aware than I am.
Yeah, I know
but You certainly do.
vaguely about it, but I don't know, you know.
Yeah, it's kind of
who's on it or-
under the
yeah.
radar, you know, there's a representative from each town,
Okay.
and it's funded by DCR. There is $50,000 in budget, and that is used for the permitting process at the North River. They have maybe 20, 25 permits a year that come in front of them. There is a staff member who handles that, and I think most of the funding goes to the river patrols, because you get a lot of bad behavior out there in this time of year. So they do have the patrol boat. So, you know, it's very, very small money.
Right. It's 50,000 a year?
It's 50,000 a year, yeah.
And it's,
Would you like me to give a little bit of history of the commission,
Sure,
if the board wants?
yeah,
I'd be happy to do that.
sure, let's have it on the record.
My name is William Finn, 96 Dog Lane. The North River Commission, as the letter states, was established in 1978. And it was the result of an effort by a woman by the name of Jean Foley, who at the time lived in the town of Pembroke. And the state of Massachusetts had a law, a provision in the law that allowed a scenic river to be established in the state, and no one was doing anything with it. So Jean got the legislature to establish a pilot project, and the North River was selected as the pilot project for the Scenic Rivers Act. to see how that could be implemented. And what they did at the time was they established an overall committee which had a representative from each of the towns that were in the drainage basin for the North River. And that overall committee had two subcommittees. One was a rules committee and one was a planning committee. I was chairman of the rules committee, and another person in the town of Marshfield was the chairman of the planning committee. We reported to the overall committee at the end of the process of developing the rules and a plan, which is all written down in a document that discusses the establishment of the North River Commission. And we had the assistance at that time of a planner from the Commonwealth as well as a lawyer from the Commonwealth who helped establish the rules. The intent was, and still is, the objective is to preserve the scenic value of the river, along with several other things. Obviously, wildlife and et cetera goes with that. But the scenic value, and it was the intent not to emphasize the view of the river, but the view from the river, so that what they were trying to protect was the view of the banks, more or less, and of the river and the floodplain from the river if you were on the river, not so much looking at the river. That was the intent of the regulations. We established a 300-foot setback so that people could not develop without a permit if they had frontage on the river, 300 feet back from the bank. And the bank was the edge of the marsh, not the edge of the river, not the river bank, but the edge of the marshes. So it went 300 feet back from that. And it was primarily designed to protect clear cutting. We didn't want to see a lot of clear cutting because we were trying to protect the visual from the visual quality from the river, looking at the bank. The the committee was all set up. We did our work. We submitted it, and the legislature established, based on that pilot project, the North River Commission. And it's the only one that was ever done because we had to notify every landowner that was covered by this to get their permission to do this. And the Commonwealth and the implementation of that took a while. And it was somewhat controversial. People weren't sure that they wanted to have that much control over their land 300 feet back from the riverbank, left alone, but ultimately it got passed and it was fine. Subsequently, the reason it was never enacted elsewhere in other rivers in the Commonwealth was because they did, the DEP evaluated and DCR evaluated the process that we had to go through to do it, and they decided that they would pass the River Protection Act instead. So the wetlands now, all the rivers are covered by the River Protection Act, as opposed to establishing a river commission for every river that was protected in the Commonwealth. So that's the basis for the river, and it's been the policing of the regulations. So the commission was established, and a member from each community was put on the commission. We have actually two members. We have a member and a backup. Town of Marshfield does. We don't have a backup now. We just have a member. We haven't filled the backup in quite a while. But the commission meets, and they have a staff of one person who's an engineer, a retired engineer, and that person evaluates the proposals that come before the commission. So they have some staff, and that's what that money, part of that money is used for, to pay that person. And then the policing is done by the Pembroke Police, I believe. And we used to have a boat, Marshfield used to do it, and the harbor master used to do it, but they've stopped doing that. So that's a bit of background on the commission. And as far as this one line that's been submitted by the Representative Carney, there's a lot more that has to go into something like that if they're going to destroy this commission. They're going to eliminate it, and they're going to turn the responsibility for this regulations over to the Conservation Commission. There's a lot of work that would have to be done by the commissions to do that, and it's basically an unfunded mandate. And I'm sure that...
Heard a lot about that lately.
Pardon me?
We've heard that a lot lately.
Yes, that's right. That's exactly right. And I'm sure that the auditor, the Ziglio, would nail it as an unfunded mandate. But the idea was that, if it does come up and if it does ever sees the light of day, the commission and all of the commissions at least should have some kind of a representative go and testify as to what's really going to happen with this one line of legislation. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There are 752 properties that are under the order at this point. So it was probably fewer when it was established, but you can imagine how long it took to get every single homeowner on board.
Right.
And that was due to Gene Foley. It was quite a remarkable achievement. So I'm going to move that we will submit this with the amendment regarding testifying to the legislature in the event there is an opportunity. But I move we send this to the select board. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now we just have a couple of COCs. SE 420680, which is 60 Maycombers Ridge. This is obviously a very old one. And everything is in order, and I move that we issue that. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. SE 420694, 76 Maycombers Ridge, also an oldie that is completed. I move that we issue that COC. May I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And now one more on 60 Maycombers Ridge, SE 421827, also completed. I move to issue the COC for 60 Maycombers Ridge. May I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And lastly, we have SE 421317, 171 Meadowview Street. I move that we issue this COC. I believe part of this was never completed, but, what was is eligible for the COC. So I move to issue that. May I have a second?
Second?
All in favor? Aye. And that concludes our business for this evening. I move to close the Town of Marshfield Conservation Commission meeting of June 4th, 2025. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.